the animal shelter presentation. It's not going to happen tonight. We do have a dog up here. You want to stand up and show us your Goodwill clothes? All right.
I saw you saluting it.
Yeah, right. That was some sort of salute. Yeah. Okay.
Birds tonight.
Yeah, some birds, strange birds. Okay, committee reports. Property Finance Budget and Audit Committee, Council Members Thompson and Paprick.
Yes, Your Honor. Total expenditures as of January 1st, 2025 are $7,575,982.47, which is 53.28%. Total revenues as of January 1st, 2025 are $5,790,717.53. That's 43.23%.
We're sneaking up on it. We're catching up.
We are starting to even out for the year, should continue to do so. We had a jump in revenue in January due to property taxes due by December 31st. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Jim, you got anything?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Community Development and Code Committee, Council Members Cook and Allen. And they're both here tonight, and I recognize them both. Sort of.
We had 7 building permits issued, 2 permits issued for demolition, 7 electrical permits, 1 mechanical permit, and 5 for plumbing. Project cost of $1,903,387, and that resulted in $2,530.75 of collected fees. This is probably the smallest one of these I ever seen. Maybe we ought to have more bad weather, because there was only 1 citation issued, and it was a parking violation. Somebody parked in their yard. So, that's pretty good. I mean, I'd like to see more months where we don't have many of these. Our next code enforcement hearing, they say will be March the 12th at 8:30 here. Now, that's what I believe I was told, but it may change. For some reason, they've moved those way up in the month, and I don't know why.
Okay.
But anyway, March the 12th, it should be on the website eventually. So that's all I got.
Great. John?
Nothing.
Public Relations and Public Safety Committee, Council Members Guthrie and Swisher.
Yes, Your Honor. Chief Donnell is going to be presenting the 2024 Annual Police Report at this time. It's a fairly long,
He'll be doing it later.
okay, he'll be
Yeah.
doing it later.
Yeah.
But it's fairly long, and it is available to you if you want it up here from the office. What's amazing for me is that as you go through this, last year, the police department answered 29,196 calls for service. And a call for service is, read it here to you for a second, is an accidental alarm, an animal call, an assault, a hang-up, a 911 hang-up, car stops, disturbances, escorts, civil matters, fireworks, nuisances, missing persons, almost everything you can think of is a service. But that's almost, or just a little over 29,000 of those. It's pretty busy. So the chief will be going over that later on.
Thank you. Nathan, you had anything?
No.
Okay, thank you. Municipal Services and Personnel Committee, Council Members Brandt and Green.
Municipal Services have met with Andy with HDR. We're still working on the ag operator contract. It's time to get that put together. He did send over some templates and some contract ideas, so we'll be
Just to be clear, this is the airport.
airport, yeah, and I think we got some good information, so we should be able to draft something up, before too long for council's consideration on that. I think we'll probably meet again and try to get it to where Elizabeth can put something together for us, or maybe she's already started, so. And then, after we talk to Randy and Jill, we'll probably be calling a meeting here pretty soon to go over the 2025 street budget. And I know you're out driving the streets right now. probably can't see much today on them, but, you know, it's gonna be a tough winter probably on our streets. The moisture and the freeze thaw and these deep temperatures are hard on them. So they'll be out assessing the streets, and then we'll take, and Amy, I need to get with you and see what kind of budget we got for street. Yeah, so we kind of we take the need and put it where it's best needed with the money that we have. And that's a tough process, because we're very tight on street funds, and got a lot of miles of streets to take care of, so we'll be getting that together here pretty soon. So, Drew, did I miss anything, or?
That made me think of that passer thing, or is that still something we?
Yeah, we need to look at that, yeah, and,
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
I feel like the passer thing is.
Yeah, that's a program that we're, you
Assessment,
do,
yeah.
do assess the streets, and you have a plan for future years too, so that
Right.
people can have input. That's the
Yeah.
bottom line. Yes, Anne Marie got that together for us, and we're looking at that, and we'll
Yeah,
probably
definitely.
implement that, sometime, maybe not totally implement it, but we'll have it out there as a template for us to work on our streets with, and that's a good idea too, and we'll see how it goes. Great. Anything else then?
That's all I got, yeah.
All right. City Administrator's report.
No report this evening, Your Honor. I'm happy to answer any questions anybody may have, though, about any city business. All right.
The building's been totally demolished.
It has, yes. Yes, that project has closed, and we are left with just the footings and the tunnels that were torn, and as that settles to some extent, we'll probably have to add a little bit of fill material on top of those, but we'll be watching those over the course of the next 6 to 12 months.
Thank you. I have no report tonight. Business from the audience, limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Any person, resident or non-resident, wishing to address the council may approach that microphone and state their name and comments. It's open for anybody, except for the 3 ladies in the back row. I get it from them all the time. Nothing? Great. It's nice to see MMU people here tonight. I try to make their meetings every now and then. Jeff's always here, but it's nice to see the rest of them.
It's good to see Jeff.
It is, oh, yes. It's always good to see Jeff.
Very good to see Jeff.
Good thing you're colorblind, Jeff.
All right, we were going to have this recreational equipment, just real quickly. We've had a proposal in front of us. Not everybody's aware of it yet, but the Amari Lake, which is the name of the lake out by the Hab Center on North Lincoln, is a site that we're looking at perhaps putting rental for kayaks and canoes up there. It would be owned by a company. We would pay them initially, and then they would reimburse us, and hopefully over the 4, 5, 6 years, we would be reimbursed to that point, and we've got a recreational opportunity for people here in town. Chris Rosenberg from the company was going to try to speak to us tonight, but he had another commitment, and I wanted to give people a chance to look at it and get some feedback from the constituents. So it cost $20,000 to set it up. As far as we can tell, and we're not totally sure, Elizabeth's looking at it, the insurance liability is on them. The repair work's on them. They come from Oberly within a half a day of having a complaint, is what we were told, and can fix it up if there's a problem. But anyway, it'd be something that we can consider for extra recreation here in Marshall. And not only that, but if you belong to the group, you can use that site anywhere around the country as well, and rent theirs at a reduced rate. If you're going, it's not just boats, they've got other equipment too, depending on what the cities are involved with. So anyway, hopefully, March 4th, we'll have Chris on the screen or someplace where he can answer everybody's questions. So come up with your questions, and we'll try to make a decision on March 4th if we're going to go forward with that. Okay, discussion appropriate follow-up. This is appointment to the Planning Commission, Planning and Zoning, we call it. I've got 2 appointments. Dan Brandt has accepted another appointment through 2028, and Cody Painter is here tonight. His appointment's only through November this year, but that gives him an out. If he doesn't want to do it again after that, he can leave in November, but otherwise, we got him till November, and I'll reappoint him at that point. So I'm moving to appoint Daniel Brandt till 2028, and Cody Painter till November 25th. Do I have a motion and a second to accept these?
Motion to accept.
Second, Alan.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You're in. We got other things we're gonna do with Cody later on, but right now, that's all we got. Appointment of city attorney. Just a little history here. Mike Renault has been our city attorney for what, 7 or 8 years? A while. And we've told him the situation and what we'd like to do because Ms. Bellamy's right here and she can work with our departments and our people, and she'll be here even in bad weather if we're gonna have court, and it's been a problem sometimes. And he was very gracious. He's going to assist in the transition, and Elizabeth taking over officially in April, but she's gonna start working the job with him now. So I'd like to appoint Elizabeth Bellamy as our city attorney. Do I have a motion and a second?
Move to appoint Elizabeth Bellamy as the city attorney.
Second, Brant?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you. Liquor licenses. The first one is for, I'm not even gonna say this right, Sinaloa LLC, Jose Gutierrez, Managing Officer, Liquor by the Drink, Sunday Sales. Chief, any problems? Is this a renewal or is this a new one?
This is a new license.
This is a new one, okay. Any comments or questions? Is this the one just off the square? I don't even know where this one is.
I believe it is.
Okay, great.
Yeah, the Santa Fe, yeah.
Okay, great. Do I have a motion to second to accept this?
So moved, Brant?
Second, Allen.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. The next is for Break of Dawn. I was just there the other day. They're gonna have beer and at this point, I think that's pretty much what it's gonna be. And your chief, you've talked with them and everything's good? Okay. I have a motion, a second for Break of Dawn.
Motion to approve liquor sales at break of dawn?
Second, Thompson.
Thompson, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Annual reports. We've got MMU's General Manager Jeff Bergstrom here. We'll present his annual report from Marshall Municipal Utilities. Jeff?
Good evening, Your Honor, Council. Hopefully you received a copy of the MMU annual report. A couple highlights from last year. We renovated our North Street pumping station. That was about a $3.5 million project. We did receive some state infrastructure funds that paid for a majority of that project. I think we got a few items to finish that up, and that will be complete. Another project that we had was the overhaul of our generating unit number 6. That project has been drawn out some. They did show up last Monday to start reassembly, so hopefully we'll have that back shortly. That is the unit that really saved us during Winter Storm Uri, being able to burn diesel fuel. So we'll be glad when we have that back. Continue to work on our broadband in the county with the USDA grants we received. The Round 1 grant has been completed, and we're working on the second round grant now. We've got about 350 customers in the grant area, and we're closing in on 4,500 broadband customers. So that service continues to grow there. Another really big project, and I think we've talked about it a few times, and the council's taken some action, is the start of the Marshall Energy Center. Continue to work on that. That is going to be a multi-year project. I think it's going to be a really good project for our community. Those are kind of the highlights. As you go through the report, there's a lot of stuff we just do day to day, maintenance, taking care of things. But there's quite a bit of that goes on. One thing I do want to point out, we try to be safety first organization. Our mod rating this year is 0.71 for you guys that are familiar with what 1 is average. So if you're below that, employees continue to do a really good job staying safe and completing a lot of this stuff for our community. So I do want to point that out. We have done some work last year on our website. We're continuing to look for different ways for our customers to make payments. I know Tony's worked hard. We do credit cards now. I think there's an online bill pay. We're going to continue to look for ways to make it easier to interact with our customers. We've started putting out a little bit more social media. We did add a residential time of use rate. That really hasn't taken off yet. We haven't really pushed it. I think that rate's gonna be more beneficial in the summer. So you'll probably hear us, sharing with our customers the benefits they could see by switching to that rate, if they can work around those times. One thing else I'd like to point out, by having a municipal utility and a public power system, we were able to contribute back to the city. In pilots from electric and water, $1.7 million. And then on top of that, street lighting, some of the other things we do, utilities, we were able to provide another $310,000 in free services. So having your own utility, instead of paying Wall Street, we're kind of investing in ourselves. So I think those are some important numbers. Not really anything else to add, but I'd certainly be happy to try to answer any questions.
Been a pretty busy year.
It has. Yeah. I promised Chief I wouldn't set the bar too high, so.
Great. Well, thank you, Jeff.
But
Appreciate
yeah,
it.
if you have any questions at any time.
Oh, yeah, where can people get a copy of that if they really want it?
Yeah, I think we posted on our website.
Okay,
But, yeah, we try to post that, board meetings, all that stuff. So if anybody wants to see it, I'll make sure we have it posted.
great, thank you.
Or if you can't wait, I got one I'll show you after the meeting.
Okay. The next is, Chief Donnell's gonna present his, annual Marshall Police Department report.
All right. Good evening, Your Honor, council members. I'm so glad I got to follow Jeff. If we go through here, we'll talk about the $1 million projects we worked on. No, I'm kidding. First off, going back to what Councilman said, one of the first things we did to talk about at the year end is we had just a little over 29,000 calls for services as an agency. We did 1,589 police reports with 326 arrests. That keeps us pretty busy throughout the year. We spend a lot of time answering calls and talking to people in the community. If you go through this, we break down our traffic stops. Again, for you all to understand, 60% of our traffic stops were males. That's about standard. If anybody sees males and females drive, males are generally the ones that we're usually stopping. And the age is between 18 and 24 is about 40% of what we stopped. So we all know that this is our prime age for driving around, getting into trouble and doing stupid things. One of the things they did change recently, which I liked to see happen, is one of the things they do is we have to mark our residency. So we have to put the zip code of where the person stops, that we stopped. Now this shows that about 40% of our traffic stops are from outside our community. So we're stopping more people from outside the community than we are making stops of people that reside within the community.
So that surprised me. Where are all these people? I mean,
Which you're picking up on 65 highway, and the other thing that we had to have discussion with is, if you go back to 18 to 29 as most of our traffic stops, where does that population in the town of Marshall come from?
College.
The college. We're picking up a lot of college kids. So, and that interferes with when we start looking at the breakdown of black, white, Hispanic, when you have a very large black population come in from the college that increases our population, then it starts showing where that breakdown is on those traffic stops. One of the things that I will point on this is about 10% of the traffic stops came from our grant, which I'll talk about the grant here in a little bit, but that's actually the government paying us to go out and make traffic stops and write tickets. So about 10% came off of grants. The next page is we go over to just break down the types of reports that we had, that goes through and talks about different aspects of cases that we work. We all completed our training for the year, our cycle training. One of the things I do want to point out when you look at this training, every hour that they do on that training is literally time that they're not working the streets. They're literally taken off the street, which puts us short. So as we see each person is being trained, this is literally out of service doing continuing education. So when you look at these times and these hours, this is them coming out of service. One of the big things I want to point out tonight is we have officers, other types of training. We actually have one that's completing their criminal justice degree at Missouri Valley College. We have two of them that are completing their EMT basic program, which is one of the things we installed this year on our budget. So the city's paying for their training, but they're going on their own time to obtain this licensing. Then you'll see a little bit later on, we actually got a grant that actually is gonna pay to give them what they call jump bags, equipment bags, so they'll actually carry them with them when they're in their cars, so there'll be EMTs on scene when they respond to them. Our goal is to get as many of the officers we have trained on it so that we can have our first responders be medically trained when they first get on scene. The last one I'm really proud of, we actually have two officers now that are phlebotomists, that are able to draw blood. We actually have the tables and we have all the equipment at the police department. So now if we have to draw blood on somebody, they have phlebotomists on scene. If any of y'all have ever gone to the hospital or the emergency room and actually looked a nurse in the eye, we have a search warrant, we're like, we want to draw blood from him, and the guy standing there saying, I don't want you to. That's very difficult for emergency room staff to be put in that situation where they're there to not do harm to somebody, and we're there to say, you have to get it from them. So we had two of them that actually went through the course. They had to complete the class. They had to make 100 blood draws before they could even start this program. And at this point in time, I think we've drawn on 20 people so far this year. So that's a very good step for us. There were 2 of 30 in the state of Missouri that we have that do it. One of the things that we've done with this is we've agreed that if we have anybody in the area that needs it, that we're willing to let them go outside the area to make these blood draws so that they don't have to sit. Plus, if anybody here has been to the emergency room and you want a blood draw, that doesn't happen very quickly. So that takes time away from the officers sitting in the emergency room waiting for somebody to get available to do this, where we can bring them in, set them down, and get it done in a matter of minutes.
Where do they, after you get the blood drawn, do they send it out to LabCorp? I mean, what do you guys do with the sample?
It goes to the state.
Okay.
It goes to the state lab.
Okay.
So one of the other things that we're doing right now that's not listed on here is one of the programs we're doing is it looks like a sucker, and we're having to put people in their mouths and they suck on it, and then we send it off to the lab, and the saliva, it'll show you what's in their system.
Oh, wow.
It has not been certified through the state yet, but we're one of, I think, 6 or 8 departments that are working with them to get the certification so that we can actually just have them suck on it, and it'll actually, the saliva will go into it, and we can get the results from that. So, some of the last things that we worked on is this year we did do Shop with the Cop again, and we did for the inaugural Cops and Bobbers. Both of these programs are community-oriented type programs. The one thing I will tell the council, all of this is done through donations from the public. No money from the city is put into these programs. It's all donated, and the officers are all donated time. They come out and do the shopping with the kids. They come out and do the fishing with the kids. It's all donated. We do not pay them for any of this. The Cops and Bobbers was pretty exciting this year. The only problem was, no offense, no, the park's not here. There weren't a whole lot of fish in the pond out at the park, so we're gonna find somewhere different to do it. The state actually did come in and put 1,000 bluegill in right before we had the event, but I think they all went somewhere else, so we had a hard time finding them. One of the programs we're looking at starting back up again this year on top of these 2 events is Coffee with a Cop. We used to do this regularly, but COVID kind of hit and kind of took us back. But one of the things we're going to do is be out in areas where people dine, like McDonald's, Bloomfields, and just be sitting so people can come up and talk to us and tell them what they're seeing in the community, what they would like for us to do within the community, what maybe things that we're not doing that they want us to start doing, more than just coming to the police department where they're more comfortable just interacting with us in a social event. One of the last things we went over this year with our grants, we got a total of a little over $156,000 in grants this year. Like I said, some of it was for DWI grants, for traffic grants. We got computer equipments, we got printers in our cars so that the officers don't actually have to sit and handwrite them out. They can just enter them in their computers, they print out. They're given to people. We're on the traffic shorter. We're not on traffic stops as long, so the anxiety of people being on them, because everybody doesn't like to sit there while the police officer's sitting back there for 15 minutes trying to figure out what we're doing. So that hurries the process up, and there's a little less anxiety in that process. One of the ones, because I always, when I come here, like to bring cool things to show you all that we did get. One of the things we got this year was a TrueNarc test kit. It was one of the grants. Thank you, Amy and city, because this was actually $35,000 toy that we got a $30,000 grant on. So you all paid for $5,000 of it. This is $35,000. What this instrument does, when you turn it on, it has a laser that comes out the side, and you stick it on any item that's clear. So it's either package, Ziploc bag, or a glass container. And the nice thing of it is it reads through the container and will identify over 530 chemicals. So the advantage is, especially we all know in this community now, or this community in this country, is fentanyl is a very bad drug, and officers can overdose just by opening the package. So if you pick up a package on the side of the road and you open it up, the powder itself can kill you. So instead of having to open it up or test it or find out what it is, you can actually take this, put it on the package, and it'll actually tell you exactly what it is without having to open it up. So if we're on scenes or we show up somewhere, we can open it up and take a look at it. Actually, the very first thing that we used it for was quite interesting, because there was a bag of white pills that was found in Walmart parking lot. We brought it back, we tested it, and it came back as glucose. It was sugar. It was candy. So the nice thing was we just threw it in the trash because we found out it was candy. So instead of having to test it or try to figure out what it was, we just throw it away. But this is very, very important to us, because we don't have to open packages anymore to test it or get a sample of it. We could just read through it. The courts are still working on whether or not they'll allow it in court. We're still having to send it off to the lab to get the lab to actually verify what it is, but it's at least a preliminary read, so that if we arrest somebody, we can test it, and it tests positive for methamphetamine, and we can make the initial probable cause saying we believe this is what it is because this test showed it. So it hurries the process up. We're not waiting 6 to 12 months for something to come back from the state to decide whether or not we're going to pursue charges on somebody. So that's about it. Does anybody have questions for me?
Did you write for that grant?
Yes.
Yeah, good job.
So this is one we've been looking for a while. We'd wanted it for a while, and just unfortunately, the way the grants are written, some places, some won't let us, some will let us. This one was just one of them that we got it. Just like today, we just got something from the railroad. Our railroad rep is opened up a grant for us. So we got a public safety grant from railroad we're gonna try to write this week and get written up.
Good job.
Mike, at the beginning, the 203 stops that were made as a result of the traffic grant, like, I was looking through the grants, like, which one of those pays for those traffic stops, and how are those?
There's
different
a
from regular?
DWI and there's a hazardous material grant.
Okay,
So when we write the grant, they write them for DWI, so what they're doing is saying, we're out trying to enforce the DWIs, and you're picking up other traffic along the way. So what it does is it allows us to add an additional officer to the street. Ooh, that was probably loud. Add an additional officer to the street that doesn't have to worry about answering
okay.
911 calls or domestics. They literally just are assigned to do nothing but stop traffic.
Okay, and then you just do that like during peak?
Like the
DWI
DWI,
times?
they want to do it during peak hours, so they don't want to do a DWI, well, I say that, the last DWI we had was at noon. We had one that was sniffing today, huffing, and got into a wreck during the middle of the day. So, I mean, they want to see it during your peak time periods, which are going to be your bar closing times and stuff like that.
Okay.
Anyone else? All right,
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
thank you.
Now we're up to ordinances. The first one is about executing emergency management agreement with Saline County. It's our second reading. Could the clerk give the second reading by title only, please?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Marshall, Missouri to execute an emergency management agreement between the city of Marshall, Missouri and Saline County, Missouri.
Everybody got that straight now, what it is, after last time we weren't quite sure. I think we got it? Good. Is there a motion and a second to approve the second reading, please?
Motion to approve the second reading, Green?
Second, Patrick.
Roll call, please.
Guthrie,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Swisher,
Yes.
Brant,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next is to amend the zoning ordinance by changing the zoning classification of certain property from IL light industrial to IH heavy industrial. Could the clerk give the first reading by title only, please?
An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Marshall, Missouri by changing the zoning classification of certain property from IL light industrial district to IH heavy industrial district.
Any questions from the council?
That is where the new energy plant is being built. It's for
That's-
that.
Okay, this is part of the generators?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can I have a motion and a second to approve the
I
first
move
reading?
to approve the second reading.
First, it'll be first in this
First
case.
reading of this ordinance.
Second, Allen?
Roll call, please.
Thompson,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Swisher,
Yes.
Brant,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Guthrie.
Yes.
Great. Last is the appropriations. Can I have the clerk give the first reading by title only, please?
An ordinance making the appropriation for the payment of accounts out of the different city funds.
Can I have a motion and a second to take this to a second reading tonight, please?
So moved. Brant?
Oh, second, Green. Daniel?
Roll call, please.
Allen,
Yes.
Swisher,
Yes.
Brant,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Guthrie,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Can I have the clerk give a second reading by title only, please?
An ordinance making the appropriation for the payment of accounts out of the different city funds.
Can I have a motion and a second to approve the second reading?
So move, Your Honor.
Second.
Guthrie and Thompson. Great. Roll call, please.
Swisher,
Yes.
Brant,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Guthrie,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Any council business?
Good luck on the roads
Yes,
tonight,
be
Randy.
careful tonight, everybody, and take your time, and expect another cold day tomorrow, so be careful of everything.
I do have a quick question for Randy, I just thought of one.
Yeah.
I had a question from a pilot that called me and wondered how soon after a storm do we blade the runways and stuff? And I said, well, it kind of depends on the heaviness of the storm, but do you guys have a criteria, like you try to get all the city done twice before you go out there? I just know there's,
Usually try to get everything, all the streets done, and then we're out and pile.
okay,
I usually just put a note on that,
yeah.
you know, that it's closed due to snow.
I just didn't know, yeah, he asked me how long after a storm, or when is it usually cleared? I'm like, it depends, I mean,
It just depends on, you know, every storm is different.
okay,
So we try to get to this, we can.
okay.
Did I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
Yes.
Both of them, or just one?
Either way it'll work.
What about you, Mr. Hurt?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Go Birds.
Opposed? Or adjourned?